Thatcast, Episode 4, recorded on June 26th, 2017.
I got this straight from the Bruce Campbell fan page. This guy lives in Maltese, was born 105 years ago. They did an article on him.
Okay.
Can you guess the guy's name?
Bruce Campbell.
Yes. So that's not the whole funny part of it. I'll read you exactly what this person wrote, because I thought it was pretty good. The not-so-bright journalist posted a photo of Bruce Campbell, the actor, instead. He posted the first pic he found on Google. The other pics are with Bruce. It just has the picture of Bruce at Comic-Con, like in his suit with his kind of smirk face going on. I'm sure you recognize it. And then he says he posted the first pic he found on Google. The other pics are with Bruce holding his bloody chainsaw and the SDCC logo on the background. So they just Google, I need a picture of Bruce Campbell. That shouldn't be hard to find. Oh, yeah, this guy looks right. Look at that chin.
What do you mean this guy looks right? The guy was 105 years old.
No, I don't know. It's just the journalist. Oh, he's got a nice chin.
That journalist needs to be fired.
So that cast.
It's been going on this week, that guy.
Oh, so many things, that guy. I actually, between the last that cast and this that cast, I had a lot of things I wanted to talk about, but I was stupid and didn't write them down, so I only have a few things. But I'm sure we'll have some amazing conversations, as we always do, on that cast.
QualityEntertainment.com.
.com.
Man, I'm not even convincing myself with that tone of voice. Let me change that. Quality Entertainment. Now I'm just trying too hard. Really.
I think your first one would have been a better selling point than that one. They're like, well, maybe this guy's just down generally, and, even if he truly thinks it's quality entertainment, it's hard for him to express that. That's okay. Maybe I'll check this out. But the other one's like, oh my God, this guy was paid to say that. He probably hates his life, probably goes home and his wife beats him. His kids beat him. His dog beats him. And then he goes and crawls into the basement under the stairs where the spiders beat him.
Living in a box under the stairs of the basement of the house half a block down the street from Jerry's bait shop. You know the place. Starting off, as always, with some video game stuff.
Whoa!
Who would have guessed that? I don't actually have anything specific video game-wise to talk about, other than the fact that it's the Steam sales right now, and I've been reluctant to give Gaben my wallet for a while, but I finally caved today, and I bought the DLC pack for Fallout 4, so I'm finally going to be able to play Far Harbor, which I am so excited for because I love Nick Valentine.
I played it again semi-recently. It's a good DLC, except for the stupid diva puzzles. Personally, as someone who had to force his way through them, I would recommend you do the same. Grow an ever-burning hatred for them, and then if you ever go back and do it again, download the mod that literally puts the resulting holotapes you get like in a box right next to it, so you don't have to do them. It's very buggy and it doesn't always work, and some of it is literally just the most ridiculous crap, but you need to force your way through it because I said so.
I'll do it, don't worry.
I just pulled up the receipt I had of the Steam games I bought. I bought Judge Dredd versus Death. I got Shank. I believe it's by Clay, the developer's Clay.
People who made Don't Starve, among other games.
I got that game mainly because I played Mark of the Ninja, and Shank and Shank 2 are much like that game, I'm told. Not as much stealth, more action. I got State of Decay, which is a zombie survival game. You have different survivors. You need to keep them fed and medicated, and you have to go out and do supply runs and all these cool things. It looks really good. I got Gorky 17. It's some kind of adventure game mixed with turn-based action. It was $1, so lots of good reviews on it. And finally, I got Brutal Legend, which is Jack Black. And I watched the trailer video, and Ozzy Osbourne shows up, and he goes, "It's about time," and I'm like, okay, well, yes, I need to buy this game now.
I bought Brutal Legend, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and I still have never played through it, and I really want to, because I watched part of a playthrough from this guy called Squiddish, who doesn't do YouTube very much anymore. He mostly just streams on Twitch. But I just liked the way that he did his playthrough of it, but unfortunately most of it got taken down due to copyright things, because it's a game all about music. So I mean, that's just screaming please take me down.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I still get emails to this day from my original Hotline Miami playthrough saying this song's been flagged for copyright. Hotline Miami was made as a game to be on YouTube just because of its rage inducing. Like, especially Hotline Miami 2, even a better example. That game was made to be played on YouTube and have people screaming at their cameras and stuff. The fact that these songs are getting flagged for copyright is a big issue, in my opinion. But I'm just a lone nerd on the internet. What does my opinion matter?
The only other game that I'm thinking about potentially buying from the Steam sales is Mad Max. I know you've played through that game, you've streamed it a couple times, and I watched you, and I really enjoyed watching you stream it. And I think I'd probably enjoy that game too.
It's one of those hidden gems. I don't even know what happened. I never heard about it. Did I watch Sips play it first, or did I think I bought it first, and then I watched Sips play because it was on sale on PlayStation, and I was like, do I want this game? Yeah, you know what? I'll take a small risk. Didn't look too much into it, but the reviews were good. I picked it up, and it's pretty incredible.
And the best part about it is that if I buy it now, it's only going to be $8. So even if I don't play it for too long, even if I only play it for 10 or 20 hours, there you go. It's worth it. $8.
Exactly. So that guy, what I wanted to talk about was XCOM 2 DLC. So what did you think of the trailer?
I liked the trailer. If somebody did not know what XCOM was, it didn't show any XCOM gameplay at all. So it could potentially be misleading to people who don't know what XCOM is, but I don't think that's a big issue. It looked really interesting because there's new factions that are kind of also resistance groups, but apparently they don't like each other, or so says Bradford. So I'm assuming the gameplay is going to be like reaching out, finding the other resistance groups, and trying to create a stronger force together to defeat these aliens. And there are new aliens, and apparently there's also new weapons, because they looked really cool in the trailer.
Somebody tried to compare it to Enemy Within.
Right.
And they said that's a good comparison, but this game's bigger than that. It's like the biggest DLC for any game they've ever made.
Wow.
Like, it almost is a whole new game on its own, but it was just enough where they're like, nah, it'll just be DLC. There's these dynamic character interactions, like the aliens will talk to you, and they'll be like, oh, last time you may have shot me in the butt 37 times and I died and then ran away. But this time, I'm immune to being shot in the butt. So good luck with that. And it was like, oh no, that was my whole strategy.
I kind of want it to be that exact situation now, to be honest. I got shot in the butt 37 times, and then I died, and then I ran away. Wait, how are you still here? Don't ask questions.
I'm an alien. Woo.
I'm apparently a ghost alien.
Woo. There's like an assassin, chosen alien, whatever they're called. She is super weak to melee, so you kill them with melee, and then they come back next time, and they've adapted to the point where they are now immune to melee, and you need to find some kind of new strategy to beat them.
Shoot them in the face, and if that don't work, use more gun.
If that don't work, shoot them in the butt 37 times. The one thing that was really cool about the interview was the guy who was giving the interview started bringing up mods. Have you heard of the Long War mod?
Yeah, and it wasn't actually a mod back in the previous XCOM game, Enemy Unknown. There was actually just like a third option, whatever they called them, the third wave option, or second wave option, just called the Long Haul or the Long War or something like that. But yeah, somebody made a mod for that?
Well, yes and no. They took that idea and then they expanded on it and created this immensely hard, difficult, longer war. But he was saying how mods are like incredible because they did that and that was great. But now we had to one-up them, like in a good way, obviously. Like, he's like, these people came along, they made this Long War mod, they gave people what they wanted, which a game can't give everybody everything they want. It's just not possible. But now we can come forward, say, hey, look, we have all this new stuff. And he was talking about how he's excited to see new mods come from that. Like, this guy kept saying multiple times, even like when they weren't talking about mods, how it's not like the company's game or his game, it's the player's game. So, you need to make it cater to the players, or otherwise you're not going to get far in the industry. And I always think that's kind of a cool thing to hear.
It's always nice when a developer listens. Take notes, Valve.
Cut to if Valve was honest with us video.
I can't be ragging on Valve too much right now, at least on the TF2 front, because they did actually just post a proposed update with a bunch of different weapon balance changes that have not been implemented yet, and they're asking the community for feedback on them, which is like a foreign concept to us. We're like, oh my goodness, Valve is finally giving us what we want. So hopefully that's going to be good. The one thing I don't like is that they're going to completely butcher my cleaver. And yes, I do mean that as a pun. But in seriousness too, I'm really bad at Scout, but for some reason I have this inherent ability to hit people with the Sandman baseball and follow it up with the flying guillotine, the cleaver, and it does 150 damage, and that's a lot. And I'm really good at that, and that's the only thing I can do as Scout. So if they get rid of that, I'm going to be very sad.
In Game Informer, this is to go along with Valve, they were talking about how Half-Life 3 is now even farther away because like one of the lead story writers for Valve left recently.
Based on the story writers leaving and stuff, this is a different game and a different company, but it's breaking my heart because Borderlands is a franchise that is near and dear to me, and Borderlands 3 had like some tech demos a while ago and they're all excited about it. The lead story writer or something like that on the Borderlands team at Gearbox left.
The big surprise, honestly, for me was that there was no Borderlands 3 anything at E3.
Yeah, they're having some issues over there at Gearbox.
I can tell you exactly what that issue is. 2 game titles. One game many people have heard of, many people love, many people play all the time. It's loved and memed and everything. It's called Overwatch. You may have heard of it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And there's another game that came out like a month before by Gearbox that they're still trying to push.
Yeah.
And yet, I went to, what was it? It was like the Below 10 store, and they had copies of this game for freaking like $3.
And that game being?
Battleborn, which I still like, to be honest. I go back and play that every now and again.
Huh.
They had to deal with Blizzard, who just totally trumped them.
Blizzard had been working on Overwatch for a long time, though.
That is true. But it was still by a decent-sized company, and it came out, and they gained a little bit of traction, and then it just died.
It's not even that they didn't have a lot of people buy it, but a lot of people also bought Overwatch. But the difference there is that Overwatch now has organized tournaments, like official professional gameplay tournaments of 6v6 that people will go watch, like they do with Counter-Strike or Dota or any other competitive game.
Here's the thing, though. That was the plan for this game as well. You bring up Overwatch in a general conversation, at least amongst your even average ranked gamers, they're going to at least have heard of the game. You bring up Battleborn, they go, Battle what?
Exactly. So they wanted Battleborn to be a competitive, viable esport, but it didn't gain enough traction, and, such is the way.
You know what would have made the game better, to be honest? Now, one of the big things about Battleborn that I hear has always been better than Overwatch is the story mode. They say there's some kind of story mode in Overwatch from what I've heard.
No, not really. I mean, there's backstories in the way of comics that are released, but there is no such thing as single player. And the one thing that is kind of annoying about Overwatch, well, one of the things that is kind of annoying about Overwatch, is that you can't play unless you're connected to Battle.net. But I think that's just a Battle.net thing. But you literally cannot even start your game and go into the practice range or play against bots.
Going off onto another Blizzard game that's exactly like that, known as Diablo 3. That guy, if you were to sit down and play that game, you could easily see yourself playing it by yourself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Diablo 3, ever since it was first released back in whenever it was, freaking ages ago, the game has always been you have to play online, even if you're single player. And now, obviously, people came out with mods that fix that. But at the same time, Blizzard's really against mods. One of the biggest announcements at E3 was a picture, and it was Metroid Prime 4. That guy, have you heard of the Metroid Prime games at all?
The name probably sounds familiar. I'm not sure if I'd recognize it.
I never played them, but Ian played the crap out of them. You have this entire world where essentially you can go anywhere, wherever you want, but there's certain areas that are locked off and you need to get abilities to like move forward. But it's like extremely open. you have to like find articles and documents to kind of piece together the story of what's going on in the area, and you have to get new weapons to get to different places, and it's very good, and it's visually very amazing. They left it off at Metroid Prime 3 many years ago, and at E3 they literally just had a splash screen that said Metroid Prime 4 2018, and people lost their crap over it.
Oh, okay, wow. All right.
But what I wanted to talk about more was just the ad there. It literally just says, that guy, Metroid Prime 4 2018. Like, that's a whole ad. It was one of the biggest talked about things after it came out.
You're making it sound like the only thing that could ever trump that is if a black screen with white text came up and it said Half-Life 3 2018.
Yeah, exactly. People just didn't expect it coming. And maybe I'm embellishing it a little bit, but I'm more interested in your thoughts on that kind of advertising. Like, there's nothing on this game besides that splash screen. No story, no video footage, nothing.
There's two thoughts that come to mind when there's advertising like that. It's either A, they are so early on in the development that they just don't really have too much that they want to give away because some of it might not actually end up in the final cut. Like movies, you don't see previews for them until the movie is almost completely done anyways. And sometimes even then, there are scenes in the previews that don't make it in the final movie. So the direction of the game could change and they might not want to advertise
Or,
that.
on the other hand, I just wanted to throw this in there with the movie thing. Literally all the funny scenes are used in the trailer to make you go see the movie, and then the movie's really bad.
That happens too, yeah. Or two, they just really wanted to see what the reaction would be, and they'd be like, hey guys, we're working on a new Metroid game, and we know that people love our franchise, so this is like the teaser trailer, but this is like not even a teaser trailer. This is just saying that we're making it. Like, this is the official announcement that, hey, this is being made. And it comes so far out of left field that they weren't even prepared for it.
I recently changed my battle tag, and, you know, your first change on it is free. I was just looking at the shop to see if the Necromancer was available to buy yet. And the battle tag change cost, if I wanted to change it again, just take a guess how much.
$4.99.
$10.
$10?
To change your freaking username.
What did you change yours to?
I went from Justice Joe to Joe Thunder.
Oh, of course, okay.
And the only reason I went by Justice Joe is because Ian's like, if I had a name like yours, I'd be naming everything Justice Joe. I'm like, that's a pretty cool name. And I went by it, and I'm like, this name is stupid now, because I'm not Batman.
You learned that you're not Batman. Oh. I mean, you had that shirt that said, like, I think you did, that said something like, I'm not saying I'm not Batman, but nobody ever sees us in the same place.
Yeah, but you see, the big reason I learned that I wasn't Batman is when he moved into my walls for quite a while.
I remember that. He did live in your walls for a while. Whatever happened to him?
He got a temp job and moved out, and he tried to move back in recently, and I told him no.
Where does he work?
He clearly doesn't live far if he's still asking if he can come by and live, you know, move back in for a bit, but...
Huh. I'll have to, like, go to local businesses and see if I recognize him. I mean, it's gonna be kind of hard to recognize him because, like, he used to wear the mask all the time. I'm assuming he probably doesn't wear the mask at work.
No, he still does.
Oh, well then it'll be real easy to find him.
He still talks in the voice. He tried working at Walmart for a bit as a customer service agent. Welcome to Walmart. How may I help you? Oh, yes, I'd like to return this flashlight. It doesn't work. Picks it up, clicks, it turns on. No, it works fine. No, it's broken. It doesn't work. It works fine. I'm holding it right now. No, I want to return. Justice! He throws it at their head, and they fall over. And then the manager comes up and he goes, Batman, we need to talk. Not again.
Batman, this is the third time this week that you've clubbed an old lady.
It's not my fault that they say the flashlight doesn't work, and it does work. Literally, if they just said, I want to return this flashlight because I want my money back, that'd be, like, an honest answer. And then Batman, like, disappears. He's like, oh, man, he's back on the floor again. Somebody find him, quick.
Oh, man, poor Batman. We'll have to check up with him someday. Forget what we were talking about.
I watched a bit of gameplay video for the Mario and Rabbids game. They took the Mario franchise and the Rabbids franchise, and they mashed them together and you think, oh God, what is this? But then you find out they basically made XCOM, and you're like, oh, this actually seems interesting. And I watched some gameplay footage today. It actually looks pretty promising.
I'm still scared by that game, to be honest.
Hoping there's more characters than what I saw. They showed you like how you can like swap out your team and everything. There was like 8 icons there. I'm hoping there's a lot more than 8 characters.
Those are going to be Amiibo DLC down the line?
Well, I mean, I have quite a few Amiibos.
No, new Amiibo DLC down the line.
Oh, damn. Well, I guess I'll have to buy more Amiibos then.
That's how Nintendo works. Did you just mute me? I just heard.
I muted myself because I was about to make like a massive drink, and I just didn't want it to be caught on the recording. I was trying to be polite. I just sound rude.
I just heard like a. I was just like, no, you jerk.
I was muting myself.
Oh man, perfect.
Fine, right. I'll drink on mic.
I knew that was gonna happen too. I was like, you can't drink like that because you're just gonna end up making yourself laugh because you sound ridiculous.
Oh God. Okay, now that I'm dead.
All right,
let's
guys.
hear your review about Cars 3 because you absolutely love Cars. It's how you became best friends with Mike. You have a bunch of die-cast models.
We talked about that before. I want to talk about Cars 3 because I've loved the Cars franchise forever, and they just came out with a third movie.
Wait. Before you go anywhere else, I must ask the all-important question about this movie. By any small, miraculous, chinly chance, did they bring back Bruce Campbell's character, Rod Redline?
I did not predict that question, but no, they did not. He is dead.
I just wasn't sure. There could have been that chance, that small chance where Bruce Campbell was back in it.
That would have been cool, but no.
What was the question you thought I was going to ask?
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me what my review was because you had previously said that actual reviewers, like critics and people, said this was the best out of the 3. So you had a prediction last time that I was either going to think this was the best one or the worst one. I think it is the worst one. Now, that's not to say I don't like it. It was a fantastic movie. But I want to tell you, when I can predict the ending of the movie halfway through, and then a secondary bit, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but there was a secondary bit that seemed kind of trivial at the moment, and I was like, you know what? I bet that's going to happen again in the climax, and it's going to be really important after all. And it was. I don't think it was very well written, and I don't know why it got better reviews than Cars 1, because I think Cars 1 is the best out of all of them.
I honestly don't get it either. I mean, obviously Cars 1 was good, because they wouldn't have made a Cars 2 if it wasn't good.
And it's Pixar too, it's not DreamWorks. We can't trust DreamWorks to not make a sequel.
Cars 1 was so good, right? People say it's bad, but I'm going to give you a strong argument right here. Cars 1 was so good that they did a crappy spin-off series, which is Planes, if you didn't catch that.
Yeah.
They tried to do that, and even Planes got a sequel.
Yeah, Planes got a sequel too.
Planes 1 was bad. It wasn't, I guess I'm little, because it wasn't an official Pixar movie. It was Disney Studios that made Planes, and it was okay. The funniest thing about the whole movie, to be honest, in my opinion, was just the premise from the trailer where they're like, it's a plane who's afraid of heights.
I never ended up seeing Planes or Planes 2, but yeah.
I never saw Planes 2. I saw Planes on TV, I think, like kind of bits and pieces. And it wasn't great. It was okay. And it's based in the Cars universe. The best part about it, the real best part, is such a small part, but the Statue of Liberty is basically just Guido.
Oh, yeah? It's a little pity?
Yeah, it's just him. That's the Statue of Liberty.
That's hilarious.
But it's like such a small thing. I'm talking to a guy who thinks that Cars is perhaps the greatest movie that ever existed, and the only thing that could make it better is if Bruce Campbell was in it himself.
Exactly.
But I'm just trying to say that anyone who says Cars was bad, or at least wasn't as good as any Pixar movie, I think needs to take a step back and see what came of it. Heck, I played the first Cars video game, and usually movie video games are bad. This was just a racing game with some goofy aspects in it. I think it was pretty good. I didn't beat it because I didn't own it.
Let me tell you. I own that game. I own it still. I tried to install it on my new computer, but the game is way too old. It came out in 2006.
Yep.
I played the crap out of that game on my family's 1999 Mac desktop outside. We had to upgrade the video card just so I could play it, and if there was an hour counter on that, it would be insane. I knew it to the point, and I still know it to the point where I own it for the PS2, and I occasionally play it downstairs when friends come over and we play racing back and forth. I still know a lot of the cheat codes. Even the ones that are just random strings of letters with numbers, I still remember them. Why do I remember those, that guy? Why?
I don't know.
Why does my brain work like that? Anyways, yeah, the Cars video game was great too. More things I wanted to talk about Cars 3. There are a few more things. One is that they did not bring back the characters of Finn McMissile or Holly Shiftwell, which is kind of annoying. I understand that it wasn't in the same genre, it wasn't a spy film, but they didn't even allude to the fact that those cars existed.
Sorry, I just want to interject here. Finn McMissile, I could understand him not being in it, okay? But Holly, right? She freaking moved in with Mater, at the end of the last one.
Apparently she doesn't exist anymore.
That's crazy.
To continue with that is that they have phones now that are video phones, and they're Skyping each other and stuff several times throughout the movie. Mater doesn't ever Skype with Holly, and this is not really a spoiler. It's the ending scene. There's a scene after the credits, as a lot of movies do nowadays. It's just a scene with Mater, singing to himself in his junkyard. And I thought that the bonus scene was going to be something along the lines of, Mater gets a call from Finn, and Finn is like, hey bud, what's up? Or, something like that. But no, it was just Mater singing a song in his junkyard. That was the bonus scene, and it was quite disappointing.
I kind of almost want to look into that because I feel like there's something specific. There's got to be some reason why they wouldn't put them in there.
There's got to be. I don't know what it is, but there has to be a reason. And then secondly, I wanted to mention that Paul Newman, the voice of Doc Hudson, is obviously dead. He's been dead for a while. He wasn't even alive during the recording of Cars 2, which is kind of why Doc wasn't in Cars 2 either. And it's very clearly, mentioned that Doc Hudson, the character, is not alive anymore. In Cars 3, there's a lot of flashbacks to Doc. So the premise of Cars 3, this isn't spoilers because it was in the previews, is that McQueen is losing his touch. He's not as fast as these new hybrid racers. So obviously, he wants to make Doc proud, so he decides to go out and train more. And there's a lot of flashbacks to the way that Doc used to race. And, McQueen's looking at old home movies of Doc's races and stuff like that to help him train.
Yep.
There's a lot of voice lines and sound bits from Cars 1, but there are also a lot of sound bits that aren't from Cars 1 and that I have not heard anywhere else. But there's still Paul Newman's voice. But what I'm thinking is that those voice lines were scrapped voice lines of the script of Cars 1, and they still fit within a specific spectrum of the story that they wanted to tell within Cars 3. And I tell you, it was just really nice to hear Paul Newman as Doc Hudson, even with voice lines that no one publicly has ever heard before, even though the guy's been dead for 7-8 years or whatever.
Can you guess what Paul Newman's number one recognized known for video is?
No.
Cars.
Well, there you go. I don't think he did a whole lot of movies. He's more well known for his Newman's Own line of food products because they're all for charity and stuff. But yeah, I know he's got a lot of other stuff too. He's done movies. It's just not any super famous movies, I don't think.
There's a specific moment in Wonder Woman that I just want to talk about. Well, it's kind of a good chunk of the movie. So Wonder Woman, overall, a good movie. Probably not going to see another good DC movie until the next Wonder Woman film, to be honest.
So they are making a second one?
I have no clue. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Well, at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, I know that's Marvel, but they said, the Guardians of the Galaxy will return at the end of the movie. It said that.
I have this nice website called afterthecredits.com, and they said there's absolutely nothing, and people are kind of disappointed about it, but there's nothing at the end of Wonder Woman credits.
It doesn't matter if there's anything after the credits. It's the principle of the thing.
Listen, it's not a Disney movie and it's not a Marvel movie, which sadly kind of goes hand in hand there. So I was like not wasting my time sitting through a DC movie just for something that says nothing. Also, it was dinner time. We saw it at matinee.
Well, it's only a matter of time before Disney owns DC too. Mark my
That'd
words.
that'd be an interesting company hold.
Mark my words. Come 2037, you're gonna say, wow, that guy was right.
Wow, that guy was right, and also that guy was right because Bruce Campbell now rules the world.
I'd be okay with that.
There's a very cliche moment in this movie, and I discovered it's my biggest pet peeve in movies now because I was so upset when it was going on. If you don't know anything about Wonder Woman, she grew up on this island of all women who all kick ass and they're pretty awesome. After this guy crash lands in near their island and he explains World War I to them, she's like, I must go and save the world because it's my sacred duty, blah, blah, blah. So obviously she doesn't know how the modern world works. And there are plenty of times where the guy she's traveling with, can't even remember the poor dude's name, he knows where she came from, he asks her questions, and he never stops to explain. Like, there's definitely plenty of time in some scenes where he could stop and be like, okay, I understand this is how you see the world and how you think the world works. Let me tell you how everybody else sees the world and how the world works. So at least, you can keep your cover and we won't all get killed kind of thing.
Right.
And it just annoys me like that. There's so many movies that do that and it annoys me. I'd never realized how much it annoyed me until I watched that movie. I understand if someone's just thrown into it, oh, haha, you think, I am caveman, I put on bra. And it's like, oh, ha, ha, you have a bra on because you're a man and it's only worn by women. But, this movie, there's plenty of time. Friggin' they sailed on a boat for a couple hours together. And he didn't think like, oh, I could probably explain women in our world, because this is World War I. Women don't fight and women are expected to do this, this, and this. And it's like, I don't expect you to do that because you're obviously could like kill me with the flick of your wrist, but I just want you to know that's how everybody is going to expect you to act.
And that's a super reasonable thing that you should expect of the movie. And it seems like it could even be like if there was a scene that just ended and then a transition to a new scene of Wonder Woman and the random guy that you don't know the name of just randomly were walking, she could be like repeating to him stuff that had been said off screen, but like trying to remember, like if somebody quizzes you stuff for a test and then you try to repeat it back to him, it's like, okay, so I need to do this, that, and make sure not to do that. And he'll be like, yeah, that's how people around here fit in or whatever. Even if something as simple as that, it probably would have helped with your little annoyance.
Exactly. Maybe it doesn't come up the first time. Like, he just doesn't think, oh, maybe I should explain this. But in between them leaving Wonder Woman's island and getting to London, Wonder Woman / Diana does multiple infractions of modern day expectancies and things like that within that time period. They then get on another boat, which wherever they're going, they definitely had probably at least a couple hours or they wouldn't be on a freaking boat going there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can assume that they were on that for at least a couple hours, if not even like a day or so. And by that point, you think, even though they're going to the front line at this point, hopefully that's not a spoiler, you think you could still stop and be like, she's trying to figure out how to fight in like a freaking pompous dress. Maybe I should explain they have freaking machine guns that can obviously tear us to pieces if we aren't careful kind of thing.
What he didn't understand is that she's got all her perks into strength, and she's also got the blitz skill, so she doesn't need to worry about that.
Oh, yeah, that is true. I had something for music. I was pretty excited. I was like, I can contribute to this. That'll be great. And I forgot.
So I guess it rests on my shoulders.
Yes.
That's okay. So I normally talk about a song that has been annoying me for the last week because every time I turn the radio on, it's playing. And that doesn't always happen, but it has happened, and I have gotten a real annoyance to the song Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner. So much so that I have taken it off of my YouTube music playlist. I have a playlist of about 700 or 800 songs now that I've just been adding to for about a year. And it's annoyed me so much that I've literally just taken it off my playlist. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the original Sweet Home Alabama, right?
That is the original Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay, because there's that newer one out there. It's not so much about Sweet Home Alabama, but it's about some guy talking about this girl he met at camp or whatever.
Hey, future that guy here. I believe that guy was remembering Kid Rock's 2008 song All Summer Long.
No, sir, that is why I said Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home
Yep.
Alabama.
So that guy, that name means nothing to me, sadly. I know it's a famous name, but, at the same time, whoever sings the other one's a famous person, obviously, because that song's pretty popular still. They wouldn't play it on the radio if it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what artist I know? Weird Al Yankovic.
Do you know why you know Leonard Skinner? It's because he's in a
It's
Weird
in a
Al
Weird Al
Yankovic.
song.
Yeah, he's in Trapped in the Drive-Thru because the guy's wife is like, "Is this Behind the Music with Leonard Skinner?" And the guy's like, "I don't know. What do you want to do for dinner?" Who would have guessed that Leonard Skinner would be rhymed with dinner? The song that I have been jamming out to, it hasn't even been out that long. When did it come out? It came out 3 days ago. It's by some independent artists. It's called Flamethrone Legacy, and it's by Jick Rowe, Woodlore, and Karen Warren. These are people who traditionally make music based on the My Little Pony fandom. However, their recent song, all collaborated together, is it is a pony song, but people who wouldn't know because it doesn't actually reference it in any direct way. It's about Dragon Princess Ember and how her father, the Dragon Lord, is like doubting her ability to successfully lead the dragon race after like he's gone and stuff. And it's basically her retorts claiming that she's ready. And it's a really inspirational song and it sounds really cool. So I am definitely going to leave a link down there. But mostly it's just because I love Woodlore's voice. His voice is amazing, and if I had that voice, I don't know, I'd be just singing all the time. I tend to lean towards the singing voices that are kind of more raspy. I like the way they sound, like Don Henley or Rod Stewart or, even Phil Collins to an extent. So that's what I've been jamming out to for the last 3 days. I actually got contacted by my college to go back and help with some voice acting, voice coaching, and some script editing for a promo that they're doing for the college because they're introducing a new program and they built some new buildings. So I went up there with my friend Jason and I ended up getting paid for it, which I wasn't actually expecting. I didn't know that I was going to get paid for it. So I worked for about 5 or 6 hours and I got paid $100. And the best part is that it didn't feel like work. We just went in there, worked with some people recording lines, and then I helped with some audio editing afterwards and script editing so that way that the script sounded better because obviously the person who wrote the script, he's a business guy. He wasn't really the best at writing, but that's okay because Jason's an English major and I enjoy writing too, so I think we got it, and I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to turn out because apparently someone's going to put some animation behind it. I don't know how in-depth this animation is going to be. It might just be like kinetic topography type animation. I don't think there's going to be any lip flaps if there are any characters, but it'll be pretty interesting.
That sounds cool. Some might even say it sounds groovy.
Groovy. And that's a perfect segue to what I think should be our final segment. You and I are potentially going to go see Bruce Campbell at his book signing in August.
Yep.
He's touring the country east to west, I think. So he's starting
with Canada thrown in there.
With some Canada. You gotta Canada needs the Bruce Campbell fix, So we're hopefully going to be able to see Bruce Campbell and get his signature on a book and potentially other things as well.
I think the ticket, from what I could tell from the Campbell fans on the Bruce Campbell fan page, is it comes with a photo shoot too.
Oh, that is awesome, dude.
And what I would really love, I have a question I've been wanting to ask Bruce Campbell for a very long time, and I want to do literally the world's shortest interview and just get his permission, make sure it's cool if we use his voice, his succulent voice.
What's your question? I need to know.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to tell it on the podcast.
But you need to tell me. I'll edit it out.
Okay, you got to edit this out. But my question is... And he's probably going to be like, no, move on. And I would be totally okay with that, to be honest.
That is a good question.
So yeah, listen for updates on us going to go see Bruce Campbell.
And we'll totally, if we get pictures, I'm totally posting pictures to my Twitter, which I have, and I sort of sometimes use.
Whoa. Don't tell him what it is, though. Just tell him you have a Twitter. I have one.
You gotta find out yourself.
And now it's time for a Project H story by Joe Thunder. Project H is a secret government organization tasked with taking average people turning them into heroes and saving the universe.
Project H, the President's Visit. The President could finally see West Island. Despite having the fastest helicopter on Earth, the normal 8-hour journey still took 3 hours. As the island came more into view, the President's skepticism grew. This was supposed to be the base of some of the most experimental technology on the planet, and its outer layer was just an army training camp. This place can't be seen from space, and the chances of randomly finding it were negligible. Security should be a much higher priority than a cover-up. I should backtrack a little and explain that this was the President of Earth, a secret leader whose purpose is to keep Earth safe and from attracting unwanted attention. If he deemed this base a potential threat, one phone call and 20 minutes later, the island, its inhabitants, and their families will have never existed. The President has made this call once before and prayed that he'd never have to do it again. The helicopter landed, and the commander on the base stood impatiently waiting. The President recognized this man immediately. "Bruce Campbell?" the President asked. "Oh, great," Commander Campbell sighed. "Another fanboy." "I wouldn't say fanboy," the President stated. "I just recognize you from the show Fire Warning." "Oh, thank goodness," Commander Campbell said with relief. "I can barely handle 2 of them." "Well, I don't have all day. Let's get this tour over with." Commander Campbell entered a small bunker and motioned with his hand for the President to follow. The President was used to people treating him like he wasn't anyone special. It was part of his cover. If the world knew that there was a single person who keeps the gears of this planet turning the way they've been, people would try to revolt and overthrow this order. That's just human nature. The bunker was small. The commanding officer of the training soldiers sat behind a desk while another generic soldier ran the radio, receiver, and transmitter. Commander Campbell opened a large metal door located at the back of the bunker, which revealed a large platform. The 2 stepped onto the platform and it descended. The elevator took about 15 minutes to reach the bottom. During that time, Commander Campbell tried to share several memes with the President, who was simply uninterested. The lift came to a stop and another large set of doors opened before them, revealing the command center. Monitors, computers, and terminals lined the walls, while people wearing white and gray jumpsuits manned their stations. The room was mostly white, the President noticed. It gave off that sterile lab vibe. The center of the room was a massive table that displayed a holographic globe. "Welcome to the command center, Mr. President," Commander Campbell began, almost sounding scripted. "Here, we monitor Earth for H radiation-based threats. Our most current and biggest threat are the ZNACs." The President had a slight look of confusion. "What ZNACs stands for Zombie Ninja Alien Cyborg Commandos from Hell," Commander Campbell explained, while cutting off the President. An image of a ZNAC replaced the globe above the table. "H radiation is the power source of the alien part of those suckers," he continued. "We've somehow managed to reproduce it, but got no real clue what it is. Now, would you like the grand tour of the place, or just the condensed version with our main attraction?" The President took a moment to process the information and the question that was just thrown at him. The President began. "I guess the condensed?" "Perfect," Commander Campbell said excitedly. He directed the President down one of the branching hallways. On the right was a very large viewing window and an auto-sliding door. Beyond the window was what looked like a massive engine from a sci-fi movie. "When H radiation was first discovered," Commander Campbell began, "scientists tried to see if it would be usable as a power source. They figured out that the only way to do that is for the thing to be built specifically to run on it. So while this base was built like that, to convert the world, we need to essentially destroy the world and rebuild it. And no one wants to put that much effort into helping the environment, am I right?" They continued down the hallway, walking past labs of human and animal test subjects. The President made out a few purple dogs, some floating cats, and a monkey with 4 arms. When exposed to small amounts of H radiation, like we are now, organic creatures rapidly mutate in immunity to it. By the time you leave, Mr. President, you'll be completely immune. But if a creature is exposed to large amounts of H radiation, then an incredible transformation happens, such as the ones you can see in these labs. What's even more incredible is that by taking another large dose of H radiation, subjects can return to their original forms and can repeat the cycle indefinitely. "How is that scientifically possible?" the President asked. "It's not," Commander Campbell stated, "but it's very convenient for certain plot points planned for the story. Now, sir, are you ready to meet Project H?" "Been ready since I got here," the President said. "They're right around this corner," Commander Campbell said. He and the President began to round the corner when shouts of anger were heard. "Oh no," Commander Campbell said in the most serious tone the President heard since he landed on West Island. "To be continued."
Oh my gosh, I'll be honest, I've had a big stupid grin on my face this entire time.
I take it that means you liked it?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. I was going to ask you for your absolute honest opinion. I can take harsh criticism.
All I have to say is that I really liked the story. I think there were a few times where you changed tense of present to past.
Yeah, I tend to do that when I write. I
A
don't
lot
really
of people
care.
do, and I'm not holding that against you.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'll have our next part for the next podcast if that's cool.
So to round out our podcast, last time I said that I would write a new Bruce Campbell prayer, just in case you ever needed one.
I'm so excited because I've known as the freak in our group for writing these prayers, so I'm
No.
so excited that someone else is about to
I put
break the threshold.
I put some thought into this one. It's 4 lines long. This is a prayer that you'd say when you want forgiveness for something that you've done. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. You know that you've done something wrong and your conscience is getting at you, but it's not your conscience. It's actually the Bruce Campbell in your heart who's knocking and is like, hey, man, you should be...
Is there a part of this prayer that asks Bruce Campbell not to kill you?
No, not quite. But don't worry.
That's fine. I'm ready for this.
We can always edit it. This is only my version. It's not the final version. All right, here we go. Forgive me, Bruce, for I've done some wrong. Because you live in my heart, you already know my folly. Despite my recent actions, I'll continue to strive each day to be half the handsome, smart, and cool cat that you are. Groovy.
Groovy. That was incredible. I like that you can keep that as is.
All right, sweet.
I feel like we need to work on a prayer that involves begging the Bruce Campbell in your heart to not kill you in your sleep or something. That's the whole point. If you miss that whole part, is the Bruce Campbell in your heart is there to kill you if you don't do what Bruce Campbell tells you to do. At a moment's notice, you could just have a heart attack and die. As a matter of fact, 99.9% of heart attacks are caused by the displease of Bruce Campbell in the heart.
People think it's like, heart disease and not eating right and high cholesterol. It's just Bruce Campbell. You pissed him off.
And you may think that statistic sounds ridiculous, but let me tell you, 95% of statistics are made up on the spot.
I've heard that before.
And obviously it's true.
It was probably said on the internet. That means it's true, right?
Exactly. I'm that guy.
And I'm that guy.
Also known as Joe Thunder.
And SOENJAY.
And you've been listening to That Cast.
So long.
Bye! I crossed my eyes when I said bye. I had to put my emotions into it.